You already know my format, 5 watches which look like or which have something in common. Today I'm going to present you 5 watches which have a certain similarity to the Rolex Submariner and which cost less than 1,000 euro. Hello and welcome to WatchMaxy's Watch Videos. My name is Axel and I'm glad to have you on the show. If you would like to support me and would like to see more of my videos, you can do that by subscribing to my channel. I've put a link into the video description, and right below the video there is an icon I show you here in a picture. Just click on that icon and you will redirect it to the subscription page. It doesn't cost anything, it doesn't hurt, but you will be informed about future videos I release and you don't miss anything. But now let's move to the watches. Well, the 5 watches series of mine is well known in the meantime, and today I'm going to present 5 German watch brands, 5 different German watch brands, and from each of those brands I'm going to present you one watch which has certain similarities design-wise to a Rolex Submariner. Usually I'm pretty positive about the watches I present, but during this video I place a kind of warning about one certain watch. Let me surprise you, and now let's directly move to the watches. The first watch I'm going to present is a watch from a brand named Eichmüller. Eichmüller is a brand which is located in Germany, so it fits into my criterion of German watch brands. The watch retails at Amazon for 119.99 euro. With that, I think it is clear you can't expect too much from that watch. From what I've read, it is powered by a Miyota 8215. Given the price, I doubt that it's an original Miyota. Maybe it's a cheaper clone of that. The watch has a diameter of 42 millimeter and a water resistance of 100 meter. Mineral crystal on the front with a magnifying glass, and that's pretty much what I could find. I personally would not buy that watch, nor would I recommend anyone to buy that watch. If you have a closer look at the details, if even the official product photos show such a bad fit of the links to the watch case, I actually don't want to know what the rest of the watch looks like in detail. Nevertheless, I've put a link into my video description below to an Amazon link for those who like the thrill of ordering a watch of which you don't expect too much. This is more a watch to complete the count of 5, because I did have some issues to find 5 different brands with watches which look similar to the Rolex Submariner and which are located in Germany. So this is for the purpose of count 5 only, and now there are 4 watches which are, from my point of view, reasonable watches for a reasonable price. The next watch I'm going to present is the Dialina with the reference number 4460512, which currently retails at Amazon for 219 euro. The watch has a diameter of 40 millimeter, which is pretty close to the original design. It has a mineral crystal with a magnifying glass on the front. It has a lug width of 20 millimeter and has a water resistance of 100 meter. The total watch, including bracelet, weighs 136 gram and is empowered by a Miyota 8215. Well, for a price of 219 euro, you reasonably can't expect that this watch is produced, assembled with all parts in Germany. For sure there are Eastern and Asian parts assembled, maybe not even assembled in Germany, but it's a German brand. You have a contact in Germany. Whenever something goes wrong with the watch, you don't have to send it around the world. The producer, seller are in Germany, and this alone would ease it for me to pull the trigger, order a watch for a vacation on the beach where you would like to wear a watch which design-wise you may like, but you don't want to invest too much and a total loss wouldn't hurt too much. this would be a watch to go for these kind of situations. So a watch which I personally would buy and wouldn't have any issue to wear it. The next watch I'm going to present is a Steinhardt. When you talk about German watch brands in an affordable price range, Steinhardt is always under the usual suspects, and for this selection I picked the Steinhardt Ocean 39 GMT 2 in a blue and red ceramic bezel design, which currently retails at 640 euro. The watch has a diameter of 39 mm, which is towards the smaller end of my today's selection, but given that we talk about the Rolex Submariner design, the watch shouldn't be too big, since the Submariner only has 40 mm. So if it's too big, for my personal perception, it doesn't really fit. So around the 40 mm, 42 max is what I consider to be something in a Submariner design. All other watches which are bigger than that don't fit according to my personal perception. The watch is 13 mm thick, has a lug width of 20 mm and weighs, including the bracelet, 170 grams. The watch is powered by a Sellita SW330 in the Elaboré version, is water resistant up to 300 meters, and the indices as well as the hands are filled with BGW9. The front glass is a sapphire crystal with a magnifying glass, and what I really like, and which I think is worth to mention because it's close to the original design, the bracelet tapers down from 20 mm on the case side towards 16 mm on the clasp side, which makes a bracelet and a watch for me extremely comfortable to wear. So this is the clasp. Quality wise, I think the watch is worth the 640 euro, if not more. All the Steinhardts I had have been of pretty good quality and have been worth the money or even more. The only reason why I sold all my Steinhardts is they have been either too big with a 45 mm, or the case shape didn't really fit onto my wrist. If you have a look at that particular watch, you can see that the horns are pretty flat and outstanding. They don't bend around the wrist like the Submariner does, and this was something which I didn't feel to be comfortable on my wrist, and that's the only reason why I sold them. If you have no issues with that, you probably get a fair quality at a reasonable price from the Steinhardt branch. And what Steinhardt did, I hope it wasn't too disturbing, the car outside, and what Steinhardt did is, with the Ocean series, they created a lot of watches in a variety of styles, closer to the original Submariner. The GMT versions, they have it in a bigger size. They have the 39 mm size, and they have a very interesting selection of ladies' watches with interesting color combinations, which you don't see too often. So if you have no issue with the case shape and the name of Steinhardt, it's really worth looking onto their website and browse around a bit, and you see a lot of interesting watches, both for men and women. So my recommendation, have a look at it, and for me it's worth to do it. Unfortunately, the case shape doesn't feel comfortable on my wrist, otherwise I'm pretty sure I would have more than just one Steinhardt. The next watch I'm going to present is the Marcello C Nettuno 3 with the reference number 2028.2. It is a watch which obviously has a design or a similarity of a design to the Rolex Submariner. However, it is different in many details. The watch has a diameter of 40 mm and a lug width of 20 mm. It comes with a water resistance of 300 meter and is empowered by an ETA 2824 in the elaborate version. On the front we have a sapphire crystal with a magnifying glass, and the watch is, and that's on the bigger side, it's a little bit clumsy and thick according to my perception. The thickness is 13.8 millimeter, which is a little bit much for a watch of that size. The hands and the indices are covered with Superluminova C3. If they have used sufficient C3, it should be a watch with a really bright and shiny luminescence, so I would expect this watch to be perfectly readable at night. If you have a closer look at the hands, in particular the minute hand but also the hour hand, they have a similarity to the Submariner. However, in detail and the proportions and the way the C3 Superluminova is covered is different, so it definitely has an own language, as well have the indices with the split indices. I have to admit, the watch didn't really catch me. I personally probably would not buy it. There are a couple of details. Oh, can you hear the car? I hope it doesn't disturb too much. Yeah, a couple of details which I don't like, would be too much, but they really don't please me. They don't make me smile. Quality wise, the Marcello C is an absolutely great watch and with a perfect service. So in terms of quality, service, I would have no doubt at all to buy it. But the design of that watch in particular, and talking about the design, some of the details like the split indices and the design language of the hands didn't catch me really, but that's a personal perception. It's not judgment about quality or the price worthiness of that watch. The last watch in my today's selection is the Marc&sons, and for the reference number I have to look onto my notes because it's a very cryptic one. The reference is the MSG-007-1SJ. The watch comes with the blue and black ceramic GMT bezel, so it's more a homage towards the Rolex GMT rather than the Submariner, but the basic design is pretty similar, so I decided to put it into my selection. The watch is empowered by an ETA 2893-2. Hands and markers are covered with BGW9. The bezel is of ceramic, as I mentioned, and the watch has a water resistance of 50 bar, equaling 500 meter, so it's the best watch in that category in my today's selection. The watch has a diameter of 41 millimeters, so it's the midfield of my today's selection, and the lug width is 22 millimeter. According to my personal perception and my personal preferences, it's slightly too big for a watch of that size. All the other watches I presented have a lug width of 20 millimeter, which when it comes to proportions looks better on a watch of that size, but that's my personal view. If you have a look at the watch, the end links are pretty present, and I would have preferred smaller end links and a smaller lug width at a watch of that size. The watch is 12.95 millimeters thick and weighs 187 grams. Nice to mention that the dial is a sandwich dial, so you don't have applied indices. It's a sandwich dial, something which hasn't been with the other watches. Price wise, the watch retails at 850 euro. I think it's a reasonable price. It's a good brand. It's a brand not so well known. It's a kind of under the radar brand. I haven't heard of any major issues with the brand, but I have heard a lot of positive things, so I really look forward to have a detailed look into that brand and present other watches of the brand, because I think it's worth it, and you can't make a serious mistake in buying a watch of that brand. Thank you very much for watching my video. It was a pleasure for me to present you the 5 watches in the Rolex Submariner style. If you like this kind of videos, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, let me know what would you like to see next in my 5 watches series. I will have a look what I can realize, what can be done, and I really look forward to meeting you in my next videos. Till then, cheers, Axel.